I'm Rice, and today I'll be analyzing a Bronze League game. So this is, we have the orange Terran on the top, whose name is TsauR, I think. Sorry if I say it wrong. And then we got the purple Zerg in the bottom, whose name is Scanlon. I'm really sorry if I butchered both your names. Okay, so that SCV is not mining. Yeah. But anyway, so I saw you did some weird kind of like worker split. I'm not really sure, like you took the two in the middle and sent them to this side, and then your rally point was like over here, and then you moved it over here or something like that. So basically, I'd say that you don't really have to worry about worker splits too much right now, since you're in bronze and you probably just want to get used to the game mechanics first. Okay, wait, look. Look at how late this supply depot is. Okay, so you have 40, actually it was like 70 before you made a worker or whatever, but right now you have 40 minerals, okay, 40 extra minerals. So you should have made this supply depot exactly when you had 100 minerals, and not even that, this SCV should have been like right here when you had 100 minerals, okay? Because you want to make this first supply depot as soon as possible so you can keep pumping out workers, because that's really important in the beginning of the game for all the timing. Okay, hold on, my computer just died on me. Okay, anyway, it's really important in the beginning of the game to like have everything, like as soon as you get 50 minerals you make a worker, as soon as you get 100 minerals you make a supply depot. Okay, it's got to be exact so you can basically optimize optimize your minerals. Okay, so continuing, yeah, so like I said, just for your workers, just send them to like one of these mineral patches. Okay, so just like highlight, right click, and then for this you just rally it to whatever mineral patch. No need to change it, worry about worker micro or anything like that. So see how late your supply depot was? So now you supply blocked yourself and you can't train an SCV. And look at how many minerals you have. Okay, so that's a lot, and we typically want to avoid that. And also, okay, this needs to be at the very corner. Did you see how the SCV just like went through like right here? Yeah, so that's not a full wall. So Zerglings could just run by and straight into your mineral line, and you don't want that. So you gotta make sure that this is like at the very edge, okay? And also, for typical wall off, we do supply depot, barracks, supply depot. So, because this is like really wide open over here, okay? But if you want to do your barracks over there, I guess it's fine too, but I'm just saying. So what else? So you haven't scouted your opponent, which is really bad, because I mean, I know you know where he is, but you gotta scout your opponent. You gotta scout for things like pool timing. Is there a pool? No? Okay, well, now there's a pool going down. You gotta scout for things like, what's the gas timing, and does he have a hatchery already? Okay? Especially for Zerg, because the last thing you want is like 6 Zerglings in your mineral patch. Okay, so yeah, you have a lot of minerals. So typically, what people like to do is build another, hold on, okay, so you're making a bunker, which is very interesting because typically, like I said, people make supply depot, barracks, supply depot. And then you also don't need a bunker this early on in the game unless you know there's some early aggression. But if you scouted, you would have seen hatch first, so you probably wouldn't have needed to make this. And you should probably have spent that 100 minerals on something else, like maybe another supply depot, because right now you're supply blocked, or more workers. Okay? So the thing is, though, it's not a bad idea to wall off with a bunker, The only problem I have with that is that you can only make this after you make your barracks. So by this time there might be Zerglings already in your base and you've just started your bunker, or you don't, or it's like in the process. But if you know there's early aggression, you want to make the supply depot, make the barracks, and just pull one more SCV just to make another supply depot to finish off the wall. Okay, and right now you're making a lot of supply depots. That's really, really unnecessary because see your supply, you don't need that much supply. You don't need to make that many at a time this early on in the game since you're making only Marines and SCVs. So I mean, unless you're making like siege tanks or Thors, you don't really need to make 2 supply depots at a time. Also remember, your SCV needs to go back to mine after making a supply depot or just building a building, okay? Okay, so see this watchtower? This is where you actually want your SCV to be. Because see the radius of this? Okay, so this Zergling can see everything that's going on. So if you had your worker here, or a Marine, you could see if there are Zerglings approaching. You can see what kind of units are coming your way, and then you'll be able to prepare for that. Okay? So even if you don't scout, at least use the watchtowers, because those are really important. Okay, so you're making factory, make sure you send this worker back to mine, and another barracks. Okay, now we usually don't get an early gas or make a factory unless we actually need it. Like if you're not planning to go straight to Starport after this, you would usually make this barracks first and then make this factory after, okay? Or if you're gonna use like okay, so you scan. Okay, so like if you were gonna make Hellions or something, then you would want to make this factory a lot earlier. But you're not really doing anything with it, so technically you don't actually need this right now. So you spent your first 50 energy on a scan just to see what was going on. So you saw that he has a roach warren, spawning pool, 1 gas, and he's making a lair. So it's good to use these scans for scouting, but in the early stages of the game you probably want to use these for mules instead, because most likely you would have seen this already if you just kept a scout around, or at least you would have seen like the spawning pool, the gas, and if you had the scout you would also see the hatchery that's over here, okay? Because you're not going to scan 2 places at once. Okay, so now you're making your starport. It's a little bit delayed, but that's okay. And I just want to let you know that you really can't support 3 barracks, a factory, and a starport on 1 base. So ideally you'd want to expo, and plus you're gonna get some upgrades, so you really can't support that. But I guess it's understandable if you don't use this factory. But it looks like you either will use this factory or you're gonna switch that factory and starport. Let's see what you do here. No, nothing. Oh, okay. So you're making a reactor. So typically you want to make the starport in a place where you could just throw down a reactor immediately after, so you don't have to worry about like moving it or anything like that. It just saves a little bit of time. Okay, so are you gonna go for siege tanks, or I'm not quite sure what you're gonna do with this tech lab yet. So again, you don't want to make 2 supply depots at a time. I know, like, once you get supply blocked, you're kind of like, oh no, I got supply blocked and I need to make more supply depots. But honestly, you only need to throw down 1, because right now you're only making Marines and Marauders. So you really can't support 2 supply depots at a time. So you want to make 1 supply depot, and then 1 supply depot. Okay? So so you don't need to worry about making 2 at a time or anything like that. Okay? And so you're getting upgrades, which is good. And you're using most of your production facilities, which is also good. So at this point, if you do want to get all this stuff, you probably want to expand. Because you don't want to because I mean, it's good to have a lot of production facilities, but you won't have enough money. You won't have the economy to support it. And oh my gosh, so many supply depots. You don't need to make that many at a time, I promise. Okay. So it's interesting how you only got 1 medevac, because I'm pretty sure you had the gas to make 2. So if you get a reactor, utilize that and make 2 medevacs at a time. I'm interested to see if you're gonna push out. So, okay. So the problem with this is this Zergling right here has already seen you push out because he has the tower. So what you want to do first is actually hit the tower to get rid of any scouts, or sometimes people will put their entire army at this tower. So you want to make sure you clear the tower first. You gotta clear this tower, gotta clear this tower, and then you go attack, okay? Yeah, because you don't want him to see everything that you have, and that's just bad. And I'm not sure if I agree with you keeping these Marines in. It's probably better to just take them out, because even if there is a Zergling run by, well, in your situation they were pulsed right on through because you have this hole right here, but normally if this was fully walled off, then you really wouldn't need this bunker. Yeah. Also, let's see how many workers you have. Okay, so you're already pretty good and saturated on his first base, so you probably, and since you have so many minerals too, you probably want to expand at this point. But if you're gonna go for a 1 base attack, I guess that's fine too. The only problem is you don't want to go with just 1 medevac, because see, you, and plus you you just made this medevac, so it doesn't have enough energy to heal all the stim packs and also all the damage taken for these units. So you probably want to go with maybe 2 is the minimum, because you would pump out 2 medevacs and you would take your first 2 medevacs to go attack, right? But you want to continuously pump out more medevacs since you have this starport and the reactor add-on. So I'm just kind of interested to see how this battle pans out. Okay, so you probably don't want to go with your medevac first, just in case it gets shot down and then you're basically screwed. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is bad because you want to at least know what your enemy units are before you go attack, so you know whether or not you're actually ready for it and if you have the right units to deal with it. Okay, because the last thing you want is to run into basically this. Okay, so if you scan right here, or even right here, you could see that he has burrowed roaches and burrowed hydralisks. Okay, so now hydralisks will tear at your marines and marauders and basically destroy them all. So probably by that time, if you've already scanned here, you probably just want to go home and get tanks. Did you ever get tanks? No, you never did. Okay. Yeah, so we don't want to be getting add-ons or any of that sort until we decide that we're going to go for a certain kind of tech, okay? Because I mean, it would have been a lot more effective if maybe you just built a reactor here and switched these two, and then you would have been able to get medevacs a lot sooner. So let's see. Okay, so let's look at your vision right now. So this is all you see right now, and then you saw them disappear, right? So that doesn't mean they died. That's not the correct death animation. That means that they burrowed underground, and this is the point where Yeah, you have enough energy. So this is the point where you want to scan like right here, okay? Or like right here. Because you really, really, really don't want to walk into that. And plus you don't know if there's other units burrowed. Or this is also the point where maybe you just want to go home and get ravens. Because if you know your opponent has burrow tech, then you want to get some kind of detection for that, and sometimes scans aren't enough because you can't like scan right here, kill all the units over here, and then you'd have to scan over here again because what if there's like banelings burrowed here, right? So they'd kill your entire army. And suddenly they're like, suddenly they unburrow. And see how your army pretty much just died there? Yeah, okay, good stim. Bit of a misclick right there. Can't really run past all that. So I'd say just stay back and just do whatever and kill whatever units you can, honestly. Another misclick. Okay. So at this point, you probably know that he has an expansion since he had a queen over here. And... oh, wrong one. Yeah, and you saw the creep. So you know that he most likely has an expansion over here, which means that he's going to be ahead, right? So, but you also know that he's coming to attack you. So what you want to do is basically, if you can fend off this attack, then you want to throw down an expo immediately. Now, your opponent's also going for a third, but you don't know about that, right? Yeah, you have no idea. So typically what you want to do is just maybe keep like a marine or like an SCV just right here, or maybe like right here, just so you know when his third base timing is, or if he ever does get a third base. Because if he doesn't get a third base, for Zerg you can expect something like 2-base Muta or some kind of like Roachling all in, or Roach Hydra, I suppose. Okay, so you see how that medevac just died right there? You want to keep it behind your units. You don't want it to be like out here. I know you're like doing like a move to like right here, but you want to make sure you keep your medevac back here so it doesn't take hits, especially because your opponent has Hydras and they can just snipe your medevac, and then you'll have nothing to heal these units because you didn't get any more medevacs. Okay? So you're getting tanks, which is good. Tanks are very good against Hydras. Yeah. Although you should probably get siege too, because siege tanks are pretty deadly as well. Okay, oh no, okay. At this point, when it reaches orange, you want to get SCVs. You want to pull some SCVs, maybe like 2, and just repair this bunker, okay? Because this bunker will really save you in the long run. Because otherwise, if they destroy this bunker, the Lings could just run straight in and kill all your workers, and you don't want that. And at this point, see, if he's burrowed, since you didn't get a Raven, you want to do a scan like right over here, okay? Or like right over here, just to see if he has anything else over here. So, because you can kill these units when they're burrowed and they can't attack you, as long as you have detection. So that bunker died. But yeah, you should be able to hold this off. Yeah, so you held this off pretty well. He has more units coming though. And unfortunately... okay, I was gonna say he set his rally point here, or he did an 8 move. Okay, so getting the tank was a good idea. Okay, so there's your siege tech going down. So since you did hold off that attack, you really, really want to expand right now, okay? Because your opponent is on 3 bases and you're on 1. And that's never good because he'll have this huge economical lead. And look, you're also almost mined out of these minerals. And once you mine out, you know, you're not going to have any left. So that's going to take a huge toll on your economy. Okay, so yeah, so it's a good idea to expand. Typically what people do though is they make their command center like right here or right here, make it into an orbital command and then float it back down because It's safer that way. So like if they were to attack you right now, this command center, you would have to cancel this. And also, if you make it into an orbital in your base, and then you float it down, you'll have more than 50 energy, so you can throw down a mule. So, I mean, you can just throw down mules more quickly, right? That's good. Okay, so I like the siege on these tanks, but typically what we do is put the tanks over here and over here, closer to the base, and not so out here, unless you're gonna move all your marines to like this position or something, or like over here. Okay, because you don't want your tanks to be in the back because they have such long range, so you gotta take advantage of that. And you don't want them to be the first to die. You gotta have your marines, since you have medevacs, well, you need more, but since you have marines and marauders, you want them to take all the damage while your tanks do a ton of damage from the back. Also, you really don't need 3 tanks down here. You need maybe like one here, but this map is really, really good for high ground tanks. You want tanks here, okay? Because if your opponent doesn't have vision, pretty much their army is gonna die to all your tanks up here, and they won't be able to attack them either. And plus it takes them a while to actually like go around the ramp and up here to attack your tanks. So if you had tanks up here, unless they have like an overseer or an overlord, it forces them back immediately. Okay, so make sure you rally your workers and make this into an orbital command or a PF. Okay, you don't want to, the first thing you want to do is not train this, but make it into an orbital command, okay? And you probably should have brought more workers down, but that's okay. Okay, it's good that you're getting more medevacs. I like that. Just make sure you keep pumping them out. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so now you realize that you need gas, right? So it's probably good just to, yeah, get both gases at a time. And then set all your SCVs to mine. Okay, so now you're getting an orbital, which is good. So you want to get this orbital as early as possible so you can get mules as early as possible. Okay, especially in this situation when your opponent is on 3 bases and you're on 2, and what is up with this? Okay, so hold on. So your opponent's making a hive and a lair? I'm really confused because typically you get the lair here, you get the hive here. Okay, that was kind of strange, but anyway. Back to you. Okay, so what do you see right now? Okay, so you've just scanned and you saw that he has hive tech. Okay, so this is actually a really late hive tech, but since this is low level play, I'm not really gonna say anything about that. So you've seen his tech, you've seen an infestation pit, so you should, and you've also seen a hive. So that doesn't mean you shouldn't expect infestors, but just know that he has the tech for them, and you probably wanted to scan over here too just to see if he had a 3rd base. So that expo is actually really late, and actually what you wanted to do is, instead of the bunker being over here, usually you just make your 2 supply depot and barracks wall, and then you would build like a bunker here, put siege tanks in the back, and like put one over here, put the rest of your infantry units like back here, and then you would get an expansion. Because if you, well, I guess it's hard to tell if you haven't scouted, but typically if you don't get any early aggression, I'd say it's safe to expand, because that means that he probably went for an expansion, or he's just building up a lot of lings on one base, which is typically what they don't do. So you'd be safe to expand a lot earlier. So this expo was really late, and that really hurts your economy. If we look at your income tab, see, even with mules, you're really, really behind, and that's never good, okay? Okay, so you need to be constantly producing workers, and you really need to rally this one. Okay? So, okay, so you're like really oversaturated over here since you only have 4 mineral patches left. Ideally, you want 2 workers per patch. 3 is fine too, but 2 is optimal. So what you want to do is take this, rally it to like one of these mineral patches down here, and then be constantly producing workers from both command centers, okay? Oh, I totally missed that. Hold on. Sorry. Let's go back. Okay. Okay, so now see, if you had this tower, you would have seen this coming, okay? It's interesting how he never got speed. Anyway. Yeah, there's a lot you can see with this tower. Plus, you want to do a little bit of scouting before you push out, just so you know it's safe and you don't run into like a bunch of banelings or like burrowed units, because you know he has burrow tech. Now, if you had this tower, you would probably... Okay, no, you wouldn't see this, but you would have seen him coming. And then the fact that he's not at your base right now would probably mean something. Okay, if you're gearing up for an attack, you want to take these tanks with you. Okay, so now you would have totally seen this. Well, you would have seen those when they weren't burrowed, if you had this tower. It's good that you're hitting up the tower, but okay, so now you see this, right? And you see banelings. So in this situation, you don't want to just A move, you want to like split your army. You want to split, 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 like just put them all over the place basically, because you don't want to basically lose your whole army to banelings, because they do a ton of splash damage. Okay, so see how much you lost? Okay, that was really bad baneling micro, but did you see how much units you lost there? Okay. So you probably want to take these units and take these tanks with you, because that's a lot of tanks. And to be honest, if you have this many tanks and they don't have enough units, you could probably defeat this entire army right here. Okay? Because you have a lot of medevacs too. Because this supply lead right here is not army supply, it's worker supply. So tanks are used for offense too, not just defense. Don't just put them all here. Okay, you gotta bring them with you, siege them up. If you're gonna attack like over here, you gotta get your army over here, you siege them up behind your army. Okay? Okay, so you take in the tower, which is good. Okay, so now I really don't agree with pushing out with just this force. It's not only the tanks thing, but it's just that you know he has burrow tech, so you really want to get a tech lab on the starport, right? So like just switch these or something, or just fly it somewhere else, like over here, and build a tech lab. So it's really important to get those ravens, because you really don't want to walk into baneling landmines. Okay, the scan was good right here. And you don't want to walk into burrowed units, basically, okay? And if you had taken your tanks with you, you especially don't want like your tanks to be over here. The roaches burrow, move all the way to your tanks and get really close and basically just destroy them. Now that's the last thing you want. So you have a lot of energy saved up, so you want to probably use those for mules. If not, for scans for when they do burrow. So you scan and you're like, oh, okay, I can beat this, apparently. Okay. If you see hydras, you really need like tanks to back you up, okay? Because this is not gonna do anything. You're gonna get destroyed. Not sure why the overlords are here, but yeah, you pretty much just get destroyed. Yeah. So, I'm just gonna tell you this, Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs alone, not good against Hydras. Okay, you gotta have these tanks to back you up. Even if you don't have time to siege them up, they're still really good, okay? Because they do a lot of damage. So you want to have those tanks with you. And now you're just running away. Honestly, you can just send your Marines back because that one Marine is gonna die anyways. So, okay. So you didn't see this right here, but the fact that he had units moved from like over here to over here probably means that he has a third base, because otherwise why would he have units over here, right? Okay, so now this is the important part where you probably wanted to have that tower because you would have seen this coming and then you would prepare for it. And especially in this situation, you don't want the tanks in the front. You want them back here, high ground, okay? And you're getting an armory. Okay, so for upgrades, I suppose. So, okay, you really want to get a Raven. Like, you really want to get a Raven. I'm not even kidding. Ravens are so OP. Okay, so not sure what this Marine is gonna do. Take the tower. Now, it's a really good idea to take tower with the Marine, but you do realize that he has burrow tech, so you don't actually see this. Now you see this, right? Which is okay, but then you just get destroyed by the tanks. Anyway, you probably, if you were to take this tower, you probably want a Raven with you too, but that's okay. So, okay, I'm interested in why you got a Thor, because I mean, if they're getting Hydras, you probably want to get more tanks. Because Thors don't hard counter Hydras. So I'm just kind of interested in why you got a Thor. I mean, they're good units, but you don't really need to get them unless your opponent's getting mutas. Okay? Yeah, because I mean, they do damage, but it's just that these tanks would be a lot more effective, especially because Zerg tend to group up like this. Okay? So they could do tons and tons of splash damage. Okay, do you see this right here? You see this, right? Banelings. And you also see that they just unburrowed, like they just appeared out of nowhere. So, now you might not have noticed that if you weren't watching the mini-map, but you just gotta make sure you watch the mini-map, okay? I mean, still focus on macro, of course, but watching the mini-map is really important so you know when things are coming, because even if you do take the watchtower, it's meaningless if you don't look at it. So, let's see. Okay, so you know roaches can move when they're burrowed, right? So he can just take these roaches, burrow them, move like right here, and kill all your siege tanks. I'm interested to see if he would actually do that though. Okay, so you're getting an expansion. So you got an expansion. I'm not sure if I agree with that, especially since you know that there are units outside your base and that they're probably, I don't know, like right under you, because he has burrow tech and he was right here like 30 seconds ago. That was just a really bad engagement. Okay, so you always want to see the tank's range goes to like over here, right? So you never want to engage outside the range of your tanks because you really need these for support, especially since there's a ton of Hydras and just a ton of units in general. You really want to use them for support. So you see how these units are all clumped up? That's what tanks are good against, right? Because they will do splash damage like to this many units. They're pretty good since you have 6 of them. And well, I mean, even though I don't agree with this expansion, if you at least get an expansion, like at least use it, because more money, yay. Although you're floating a lot of minerals, well, both of you are floating a lot of money, but that's because he's max, and you're just not macroing enough. So you probably, at this point, yeah, you got more racks, which is good, but you gotta actually produce out of all these, though. I mean, they're pretty meaningless if you don't produce out of them. Okay, there you go. There's your mules. Okay. You wanna move like half of these workers, or like 8 of them or something, to over here. Just so, because eventually you're gonna mine out and then you're gonna be oversaturated. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. He can move his roaches right here. You don't have detection, right? So usually I suggest putting a raven with your army, or getting like 2 ravens. So now he can just unburrow. There you go. He pretty much just unburrowed and killed all your tanks. That's really, really bad. So you want ravens, because you would have seen him coming over here, and then you could have just killed him, most of his units, before he even got there. Yeah. Okay, so there's the GG. Okay, so just as kind of a conclusion to this, I didn't point out all of your mistakes, but I just pointed out like mostly the things that I felt was really a lot more important at this stage for you. Okay, so important things. You gotta constantly produce units, okay? I don't think you've ever used these 2 barracks after you made them. You gotta constantly produce units, constantly, okay? And get more facilities if you're like, okay, so say you were constantly producing out of everything and then you had this many minerals and gas, you wanna get more production facilities so that you can use up all these minerals, okay? So the rule is generally 3 production facilities per base, and that also includes upgrades. So you're on 3 base, so you want 9, okay? You have 5, 6, 7, yeah, so you probably want a lot more. Another thing is, okay, so let's look at their upgrades. So he has +3 for ranged attack and +1 armor. Is there any zerglings I can look at? I'll click a drone. Okay, he didn't get +1 for his melee attacks, but he was going to mainly Hydra Roach, so he only really needed this one. And upgrades. Okay, so you got 2-1, which is good. You weren't constantly making upgrades though, so you probably want to do that. Also, keep your eye on this corner, top right corner. You really don't want to supply block yourself, because that's bad and you can't make units. And when you do supply block yourself, if it's like before 10, like maybe like 10 to 15 minutes in the game, well, I'd say 10 minutes, depends on how much production facilities you have. You don't want to make like 2 or 3 at a time, okay? Just 1 at a time is good. You need the minerals for other things too. You can honestly just have an SCV here who makes a supply depot, and then they just stay here, and as soon as that SCV is done, you put it to make another supply depot, okay? Especially in the early stages of the game, you don't want to have too much stuff queued up, because if you have like 2 supply depots queued up, that's 200 minerals worth of stuff, and you can honestly make more workers or make more marines or more marauders. Another thing is you need better scouting, because okay, at this point, okay, you know that he has Hydralisk. Okay, so you want to know if he got a 3rd base, okay? Because when you put down this 3rd base, you gotta know exactly whether or not you will be ahead by putting down this 3rd base. If he already has a 3rd base, then you guys are even, because Zerg needs 1 more base. If he only has 2 bases, then you'll be ahead, and if he has 4 bases, then you're completely behind. So you gotta know that stuff. Yeah, because you don't want to be too economically behind your opponent, because that will really hurt you. And being ahead is good, but make sure you focus on not only making workers, but like make units too, okay? Because for all you know, if he did only have these two bases and you got your third, he could be doing some kind of two base all in. I mean, it's pretty late for that, but I mean, if it were like earlier, right? And then if you don't have enough units, that's pretty bad. You probably wanted this expansion a lot earlier, like I said. If there's no aggression by like maybe like 6 minutes, I'd say 6 or 7 minutes. And well, you would have scouted this, so your reaction probably would have been to go for like maybe a 1 racks expo, if you know what that is anyway. But yeah, so you gotta scout, because you probably would have done a lot better if you scouted this base, because you would have thrown down this base yourself, and then you would have had a lot more money to make units. Another thing is you need, well, you are okay, sorry, um, later in the game, but in the beginning, you probably wanted more medevacs, only because when medevacs start out, they're not at full energy, right? So you need more medevacs just to support your infantry units. And okay, so when you saw that over here, when you were engaging him over here, and he burrowed, that's pretty much your cue to throw down a tech lab right here and get ravens. Okay, because yes, you can scan, but eventually you'll run out of scans, and also you want to use these scans for mules, okay? So, like, you probably wanted to get ravens, like, right after that first engagement, because that probably would have saved you a lot, because, see, if he were burrowed right now, you could still attack him and, like, destroy some of his units, kill him off before he unburrows, and that's good, because that's basically, like, free kills for you, right? And another really important thing is know your counters, okay? Because getting Thors was probably not the best idea, and also if you knew that Marines and Marauders and Medevacs don't counter Hydras, you probably would have brought your tanks with you as well. So just make sure you, yeah, also that, make sure you bring your tanks with you when you do decide to engage. Don't put your tanks in the front. Put them on high ground, put them back here, put them over here, not over here, okay? Unless your Marines and Marauders are over here, don't put them over here. You want to put them closer to your base, because usually your Marines and Marauders go here. Also, I'm not sure if I agree with getting an orbital on this. Typically for Terrans, for their third base, they like to get a PF, because especially for this map, well, this map is okay, but some maps, like the third base is so far away. Like some maps, this right here doesn't exist, and the third base is over here, right? So that's pretty far away. So you want to get a PF just to defend, so that you can get your units there on time without it like dying, and plus scores you some kills too. So I just say keep practicing, and come to the coaching session on Friday, and I'll show you like I'll be going over certain things like ravens, which is really important. I'll probably also go over siege tanks and maybe some counters. But if honestly, if you just want to look this up, if you just look that up on YouTube or on Google, you can like find an article about it. And just kind of like, you don't have to memorize it, but just familiarize yourself with it so you don't make Thors, because you probably would have been a lot better off if you got like 2 more tanks instead of 2 Thors and you siege them up over here. Okay? So that's pretty much it for this game. Keep sending in replays if you want feedback. And yeah, I hope to see you on Friday.